Our conversation with Matt Jioio, the principal of the Marion Center High School, is brought to us this morning by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. They are fighting their way through the COVID-19 pandemic like every other school district. Let's say hello to Matt Jioio. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Todd. How are you today?
Good, and it's good to have you with us here this morning.
Thank you.
So we have been working our way through the winter sports seasons, the restart of school after the holidays, the beginning of what is basically the second half of the school year. So let's start with that. I know all of our school districts had different plans in place for the restart of the school year, Marion Center included. How has it gone?
It's gone pretty well. It's always a struggle when we move from instructional model to instructional model. We came back after the holidays in a new type of hybrid. We realized that our students do the best when they have teacher-student interactions. I mean, we all know that. I think all educators, all parents know that. So we're striving to get that healthy balance between safety and instructional continuity. So what we've done is created a hybrid model where students are in the school 2 days a week, and then on their off days they would be streaming at home, or if they have poor connectivity, we are bringing them into the holding areas like the auditorium where they can stream on our wireless to be synchronous learning in their with their teachers and their classmates. So we are finding, we've been in this model a few weeks now, and we are finding that having access to students on a daily basis, either virtually or in person, has blossomed and given us a lot of benefits to, definitely academic achievement and keeping students engaged and on track. So we're happy. We're hoping we can continue this model for a while. We are maintaining our social distancing, which is very important when we're going to get positive cases. We are going to have some quarantines, but it's minimal with our hybrid model because we are maintaining our social distancing in our classrooms and wherever possible. So it's working out so far, Todd.
I was reading an educational article a week or so ago that talked about when you're doing remote learning, teachers really are in on the fact that personal one-to-one face-to-face instruction model is so much preferable. Kids might not realize what's different and what's wrong, but that's what it is, that sometimes they don't know what they're missing, but they're missing something. Teachers realize right away it's that personal connection. And so that really is important to get them before a teacher at least twice a week, isn't it?
Absolutely. The teacher-to-student interaction, whether it be remote or in person, is definitely beneficial to the kids rather than sitting and listening to a video and trying to answer questions from a video or some remote way of artificially learning, I guess you could say, like some kind of a program. Having that teacher-to-student interaction is just so important, and we are seeing the benefits. Now, our teachers, I got to give them all the credit in the world. They've moved from instructional model to instructional model, and we often say, none of us signed up for this. This is totally different than what we've been trained to do. Synchronous, teaching students that are home, and then teaching students in front of us at the same time, and trying to get those students connected to one another and also to the teacher and to the material being taught. So it's definitely a learning curve. We are getting better at it. But it's still, it's like I said, it's, with everything, we're finding our way through it.
Yeah, one of the things that I found interesting as well is that, there are some school buildings that are only a couple of years old. I think of Armstrong. I think of Richland, over in the Johnstown area. Those schools, when they were built, you could drive a convoy of trucks through there, and they would never, they'd be able to pass. You could have a 4-lane highway through there. Older schools such as yours, the hallways are much narrower. I was walking through the Marion Center School just this past weekend, and it really is. When you get kids walking in both directions in those hallways, it becomes a real challenge to keep them distanced, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try to walk on one side of the hallway, maintaining social distance. It does help with, like I said before, our hybrid model with 50% of the students being here, so we don't have full capacity going through the halls, but we do try to keep them moving. Our kids have done a wonderful job of, bringing masks to school, maintaining the masks all day long, even though it is, inhibitive and no one really enjoys wearing a mask, including all the staff and us. but we realize we have to do it for each other's safety. So they've done a great job with it. I can't complain about any safety measures that the students and staff are doing. It's been everybody's trying to work together to make this all happen.
Winter sports are underway. Basketball, of course, is the sport that we carry on the air here at Renda Broadcasting, but swimming goes on, and it's a virtual type event. Wrestling is the interesting sport to me when it comes to this personal contact, because it's just, how are you going to wear a mask in a wrestling match?
Todd, this is one of the things that, the Heritage Conference, we wear masks when we go against one another. I know that when we go and travel to different tournaments outside of the Heritage, I know that the mask rule is much different, so we try to abide by what they're doing. But wrestling with a mask and having a cross face or something like that into a mask, or having your face rubbed into the mat and having a mask on, it's really challenging for our kids. And I know our wrestling coach has been very adamant about the student safety in that aspect.
Yeah, you almost need one of those Nacho Libre type of masks.
Yeah.
Could turn it into a whole new high school sport.
There you have it.
As we think about moving forward then into the second half of the academic year, and we think forward to some of the traditional spring activities, of course, prom is a way back in the schedule, but you have to begin to think about that, plan for that. Some of the other social activities. Field trips are generally a big thing in the spring as well. Those, I assume, are much curtailed this year, too.
Yeah, we're closely monitoring all those things. I know my prom advisor has been kind of beating my ear a little bit. Hey, we got to get fundraising, and we're starting to do that. Starting to look for indoor-outdoor venues that would be willing to possibly host a prom. Like a field trips, when we do our envirothons and get outside, I'm looking forward to those types of field trips where we can social distance and be outdoors with the springtime coming. Mm-hmm. Being cooped up in the wintertime is very difficult because we're bound by the walls of the school and that kind of thing. So hopefully when spring gets here, our spring sports and those types where we can get outside, it gets a little more normal, I guess I could say.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a really interesting transition into that season after having turned everything indoors. So
yeah.
Gonna have to make more adjustments, I'm sure, as the season goes along.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I've learned through this whole process is don't try to plan too far ahead because it's going to change very quickly.
Yeah.
So you try to stay up to date on everything that's coming through, and then be ready to adjust.
Matt, what have parents told you about connectivity issues? Are they able to make the adjustments that are necessary?
They're doing their very best. I know that we've gotten a lot of, through our admin, and Mrs. Gaston and Mr. Weimer have gotten a lot of hotspots to our families with the help of T1 or T-Mobile and those types of devices and cooperation. So we've got a lot. We've had, when we started this, we've had a large number of connectivity issues. We've greatly reduced that by our hotspots and those types of things. So parents are doing their very best, but like I said, the folks that are having the real connectivity issues that just can't get service at where they live, so we're bringing them in on the buses 4 days a week, and they can stream from here. So we are, adapting to and trying to meet all the students and parent needs that are out there.
Are those?
There's no question. The parents want their kids in school. We want them here safely, and we're trying to do the best we can with that.
That requires a great amount of coordination with Smith's Bus Company, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they've been great adjusting their routes to what the school needs and who we have to pick up and who we have to deliver home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's terrific stuff because it takes so much coordination. It's good to know that it's happening, and you're going to come across a bug here or there that's going to be a bit of a difficult thing, but you'll work your way through it. Wanted to ask you about standardized testing and some of those state-required things, graduation requirements, and all of those. Last year, of course, out of necessity, it happened so fast that there wasn't a whole lot of time to plan for those things. What about this year?
From my understanding, it's still on. We don't know. No official word has come down from the state. Whether I think they're kind of waiting to see and trying to adjust things. There's certainly going to be a lag in test scores, I would believe, through the different models of learning throughout the state. Some school districts haven't been back at all. Some have been back and out, periodically. So there's going to be a lot of variables in that, and we're prepared to adapt to whatever the state's requiring us to do.
Have the teachers noticed any drop in the performance academically of the students at Marion Center?
One of the things that we've constantly, and we've been working cooperatively with our board. One of the things that we've constantly monitored is student achievement and grades and those types of things, measurable things. And one of the things we're kind of in a continuum of what is the safest? Well, the safest is for everyone to stay away from one another. But academically, what's best is when teachers are in front of kids, and that's what we've seen through the development of these kids. It's like when we're remote, it's very difficult to keep kids engaged. They're out there on their own, whether they're working or watching siblings or their parents have to work, and it just gets very difficult remotely. But we realize when they're in front of teachers and we have access to them, they're doing much better. So that's the healthy balance that we're trying to reach in this COVID era.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to have an effect that must be studied from a school district perspective, and you'll do that. You have to digest all the information each summer and throughout the course of the year to find out what worked, what didn't, what should we throw out, what should we do more of, and that whole adjustment process is continuing.
Absolutely. Like I said, this was kind of thrust upon us last March, and we've been learning and adapting ever since.
All right. Well, you're doing a terrific job there at Marion Center. When I did a couple of basketball games there in the last week or so, I noticed that everybody is bought into it, and that's a really important thing. That everybody knows it has to be done, so they're doing it.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the coaches, students, parents, teachers, and school board and administration. Everybody has really been supportive, doing everything that we're asking. We're realizing that they don't want to hear a lot of times what I have to ask them to do, but they are doing it, and we're just happy that our kids can get on the court and have a season.
Beautiful. Matt Jioio, thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Okay, thanks a lot, Todd. Nice having you.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, bye-bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.